So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Prasuna, degree lecturer in English from Telangana Tribal Welfare Residential Degree College for Women, Sirsilla. Today I am going to give a short presentation on active voice and passive voice. So, here, what is voice? Voice is that form of a verb which shows whether what is denoted by the subject does something or has something done to it. So, this is called as a voice. And voice also has divided into two types. So what are that? First one is the active voice and passive voice. For related to giving of the information, I have provided my PPT presentation on your desktop, which is shown to you. So here I provided here active voice and passive voice. So what is active voice? What is passive voice? Discussing about passive voice, let us discuss on active voice. So what is active voice? A direct form of expression where the subject performs or acts the verb. I'll repeat the sentence again. A direct form of expression where the subject performs or acts the verb. And active voice is used in a class whose subject expresses the agent of the main verb. Active voice is used in a class whose subject expresses the agent of the main verb. For example, the active voice is the most commonly used in many languages and represents the normal case in which the subject of the verb is the agent. So this is, for example, the mason is building the wall. The mason is building the wall. In this sentence you can observe subject also there, verb also there, and object also there. Or in this sentence we can see, for example, Rama killed Ravana. So here Ram is a subject and killed is a verb and Ravan is a object. So this is, in this there is no prepositional form and there is no participle. It is has to dependent totally the statement of sentence of active voice only. Then what is passive voice? An indirect form of expression in which the subject receives the action. So here the sentence is not using in a direct way. That means an indirect form of expression in which the subject receives the action. The passive voice is employed in a class whose subject expresses the theme or patient of the verb. For example, in active voice what we discussed, the mason is building the wall. And here when it could be done in transformation of sentence active voice into passive voice, at that time we have to announce the wall is being built by the mason. Means nothing but here we have to discuss about active voice will become passive voice will become active voice. Means nothing but subject will become object will become subject. First step you have to take. And after that you have to add be form or helping verb. And the third step is you have to use a V3 form of participle in a passive voice. And the fourth step is you have to add prepositional form. And the final step is you have to change subject as object. So what are the 5 steps we have to take? First one is subject will become object. First you have to identify the tense. Which is in an active voice of sentence. So after identifying the tense, you have to transform the sentence into another. Means nothing but into passive. So for that you have to observe first sentence is in which tense. And after that subject will become object will become subject. And after that you have to add helping verb which is suitable for that tense form. And after that in every passive voice of sentence, obviously we have to use only V3 form which is called as a participle. And after adding of verb form, we have to use preposition. After preposition again subject will become object will become subject again. So this is the process how to transform the sentence. So here I have to provide how to form passive voice. Means nothing but here how to change from active to passive voice. Look at this statement now. So Ram killed Ravan. So here subject also there, verb also there, and object also there. Ravan was killed by Rama. So when the sentence in active voice, the sentence has subject plus verb and plus object. And when we convert the sentence active voice into passive voice, Ravan was killed by Rama. So what are the 5 steps I have explained you? So what are that? First one is subject will become object. By seeing of active voice sentence, Here subject is Ram and object is Ravan. When we are converting passive voice now, so here subject will become object will become subject. So here in this sentence of active voice, Ravan will become here subject. So Ravan, and the helping verb you have to add was, and the V3 form killed, and the preposition by and Ram. So this is means nothing but how to form a passive voice means what to be tense plus participle, past participle. For example, the picture was painted by the painter. So this is one of the example. And next here active voice, passive voice. First there is a subject and first there is an object then, and then object, subject again. So what are the examples I have provided on our slide? Look at on slide. Amit plays football. Example, football is played by Amit. Here we have mentioned the name. Here we have mentioned the name. So that is very easy to convert the sentence and easy to identify the pronoun. But here when you are using only pronoun topic of English in active and passive voice, if it is an active voice, when we are converting the sentence into passive voice, the pronoun place has changed. Place means nothing but the meaning has changed. Means nothing but pronoun will becomes added. For example, I will become me. You will become you. She will become her. He will become him. They will become them. We will become us. It will become it. If the sentence has subject as I, when it could be done as object, it has changed as me. Yes. So why do we use passive then? Why do we use passive? So for that, why do we use passive? We have some rules. Let us discuss now. So when the agent is unknown or unimportant or obvious from the context. That is the first point. I'll repeat the sentence again. When the agent is unknown, unimportant or obvious from the context. And to make more polite or formal statements by using of passiveness, active into passive, it will make more polite and formal statements. When the action is more important than the agent, as in the processes, instructions, events, reports, headlines, news, items or advertisements. So advertisements also. To put emphasis on the agent. To put emphasis as the agent, we have to use passive voice. So why do we use the passive voice means for that I have given 4 sentences for you. What are that? First one is when the agent is unknown or unimportant or obvious from the context. And to make more, second, what is the second sentence? To make more polite or formal statement. And when the action is more important than the agent, as in the processes, instructions, events, reports and headlines, news items and advertisements. And to put emphasis on the agent. So now active and passive voice. Here for example, active voice and passive voice here. So active. What is the structure of active then? So doer plus active verb plus receiver. What is that? Doer plus active verb plus receiver. When it could be done in a passive voice, receiver plus active verb plus doer means nothing but here subject will become object will become subject. In the middle of the place of active verb is commonly we have to use as a V3 form. So here she helps him. You have to see the sentence on our slide. She helps him. He is helped by her. He is helped by her because of she. When the subject she, when it could be done as object, she will become her. And helps. It is the sentence already in a present tense. Means nothing but subject plus verb plus object. So when it could be done in a passive voice, subject plus, be form plus, V3 plus, preposition plus, object again. So that's why she helps him. When we are going to translate the sentence into passive voice, he is helped by her. Because of, in a passive voice structure is what? Receiver plus, active verb plus, doer. And next, here, I am buying a pen. I am buying a pen. So I is the subject and am is a be form and buying V1 plus ing and a pen is a object. So the sentence is in a present continuous. present continuous. When the sentence in a present continuous of active voice, when we are going to convert into passive voice, at that time the sentence has a pen is being bought by me. Here you should add being, because of subject will become object, again object will become subject, and is being you have to add, and V3 form and preposition, and again pronoun topic. And next, he has to teach us. He has to teach us. Again has form also there. So he will become him, us will become we. Again subject has to replace of object and object has replaced to subject. We have to be taught by him. And someone is following us. We are being followed. Someone is following us. We are being followed. For example, so what is that? Mary washes the dishes. Mary washes the dishes. Subject is a doer, Mary, and active verb is a washes, and object is a receiver, the dishes. So when we are going to translate the sentence active voice into passive voice, what is that? Receiver will become as a subject, doer will become as a receiver. Now the dishes, active verb, are washed by Mary. So this is the sentence. Now here we can see very common rule is, I already said to you the 5 things you have to do while converting the sentence active voice into passive voice. So what are that? Now you can see on our screen. So very common rule is, bring the object first. Bring the object first. And choose correct be verb. Means helping verbs or be forms. And change verb into participle. Again you have to add V3 verb form. And next add preposition. So sometimes the preposition may add it as by, and sometimes preposition may add it to also. So that's why don't depend on the preposition only, focused on by. So and again subject. So what are the steps? First one, bring the object first, and after that choose correct be form and change verb into participle, and the final one is and by subject. So here the example is, she helps me. Sorry, she helps him. Him is a he, and is, he is, and V3 form is again participle form, helped, and preposition by, and finally subject will become object, her. So these are. So look at in this slide how subject and object changes. So I, me, we, us, you, they, them, he, him, she, her, Ram again, name is the name always, and book again, thing also thing. So if there are two subjects, use any one. If the sentence has two objects or two subjects, use any one. Means she told us a story. She told us a story. Here two objects are there. What are that? Us and a story. Us and a story. These two objects are we having. So we were told a story by her. We were told a story by her. So here has will become, here we have added we, and were told told a story by her. A story was told to us by her. Use anyone. From these two sections, from these two transformation of sentences, we can take any other also right form. They appointed him an ambassador. Here also two objects you have. So what are that? They is a subject, appointed is a verb form, him also object, and an ambassador also object. So now you have to again use anyone. He was appointed an ambassador. An ambassador was appointed to him. So this is. And the next example is, the story has taught. The story has taught us a good lesson. Taught us a good lesson. Here us and a good lesson. Both are two objects you have. So when you convert active voice into passive voice with the two objects of sentence, that could be, we have been taught a good lesson by the story. We have been taught a good lesson by the story. And next, a good lesson has been taught to us by the story. For every other sentence, we have to use some structure. We need to use some structure. By that only the sentence will frame easily in active voice into passive voice. Let's see the next slide. Has, have, had, is, am, or, was, were. So on this. Am is are we can use in a present continuous form in active voice, and was or were also we can use in a past continuous. So while using of these be forms or helping verbs or auxiliary form, how to convert the sentence active voice into passive voice, let us discuss. So now you can see here, she has to help us. She has to help us. So us will become here, we have to be helped by her. And next, we have to learn English. Sorry, we have to learn English. English has to be learned. I had to wait the bus. The bus had to be waited by me. Have has had. Has have had to plus V1. Has have had plus to be plus V3. So these are the examples on using of has, have, had, is, am, are, was, were to V1. And next, auxiliary verbs, modals, which are called as a modal auxiliary verbs. Can, could, should, shall, may, will, would, must. So these are all called as a modal auxiliary verbs. So when the sentence has modal auxiliary verbs, how to transform the sentence active voice into passive voice? So modal verb plus modal auxiliary verb plus V1 is equal to modal plus B plus V3. So how it is possible? Means nothing but you have to add B for modal form. You have to add B for modal form, and after B form you have to add participle. She can speak Chinese. She can speak Chinese. So what is the structure? Modal plus B plus V3. Again here subject will become object, object will become subject. Here which is a subject, which is a object. Here she is a subject and Chinese is a object. So now Chinese will become as subject. So Chinese model, again can is a model here. Chinese can. So after model what you have to add? Be form. So Chinese can be, and again participle form spoken and a preposition by, and she will become her here. So Chinese can be spoken by here. And next, we must preserve the tigers. We must preserve the tiger. Here modal form is a must. So here for must after you have to add be form, and after that V3 form. So tigers must be preserved. So this is a sentence. And next, must have, should have, could have, might have, would have plus V3 is equal to must have, should have, could have, might have, would have plus been plus V3. When you observe in your sentence, if it is there in a modal forms of must have, should have, could have, might have, would have, V3, so that could be changed into passive voice. When it is transform the sentence into passive voice, the changes are must have plus been plus V3, should have plus been plus V3, could have been participle, might have been participle, would have been participle. So let us see the example on the topic of modals. He should have stolen my pen. So we already have the rule. He should have, and V3 also there. For that what you have to add? Been form. Been. My pen, subject will become adjective. Again, he will become my pen will become he. So that is, my pen should have been stolen by him. They must have left any sign. Any sign must have been left. So these are the examples on modal forms. And next here, no need to add by plus subject. If the subject is we, they, someone, somebody, none, nobody, everybody, people, etc. So I'll repeat the sentence again for you. No need to add by and subject plus subject. If the subject is we, they, someone, somebody, none, nobody, everybody, people, etc. So they have stolen my pen. They have stolen my pen. My pen has been stolen. They must have left any sign. Any sign must have been left. Negative sentences remain negative. Now, negative sentences remain negative. They have not stolen. They have not stolen my pen. My pen has not been stolen. My pen has not been stolen. Because of negative sentences remain negative. If the sentence is in a negative form, the remaining sentence when it is done to transform the sentence into passive voice also negative only. They must not have left any sign. Not have. Any sign must not have been left. There is no changes here. But the V3 form is obviously we have to use. Nobody has done homework. Homework has not been done. The tense form only has to focus on to change into passive voice from active voice and the participle form also. And look at the table. For transforming of the sentence active voice into passive voice. For transforming of the sentence active voice into passive voice, obviously all the time we have to know we have to know about the structures. Means nothing but what are the forms we have to use, what are the verb forms we have to use, what are the auxiliary form we have to use, what are the helping verbs we have to use. Yes, so focus on this table. Look at the table. So active voice, simple present V1 or V5. And next here simple present. And next here what is it? For example, take. In active voice it is a take or takes. When it is going to as a passive voice, am taken, is taken or taken. Passive voice. And present continuous. Am taking, is taking or taking. For example, am taking, is taking or taking. So here am being taken, is being taken or being taken. Yes, present continuous. Yes, it is. And next, present perfect. Present perfect. What is that? Has taken, have taken, took. Sorry, has taken, have taken. And now when it is could be done in a passive voice, has been taken, have been taken. And again in a simple past, took, was taken, were taken. In a simple past, took we have to use. When it is done into passive voice, was taken, were taken. And the past continuous again. Past continuous again. Past continuous. So what are that? Was taking. If the sentence in a was taking or were taking. Was being taken, for being taken. And a past perfect, had taken, had been taken. In active voice had taken, in passive voice had been taken. And next simple future. Will take, will be taken, will take in active voice and will be taken in a passive voice. And shall take in active voice and shall be taken in a passive voice. So when seeing up modal verbs, can, may, must. So these are all based on can take, must take. Can be taken, must be taken. In the previous slide I explained to you. You are seeing up modals. For that you have to add B form and V3. Modal plus B plus V3. Yes. So this is the chart for you. And observe one thing. Here provided of slides also. Some of the places we have mentioned not used commonly. Not used commonly. For these tenses, for the remaining tenses, in all the 12 among all the 12 tenses, we have only for 8. For 8 tenses we have comfortable or we have the rule to convert the sentence active voice into passive voice. For remaining 4 sentences we don't have any passive. It means nothing but no passive for that tenses. And here, for example, she will write beautiful poems. She will write beautiful poems. So what are that? Beautiful poems will be written by her. He will have done homework. Homework will have been done by him. So means here he will have done homework. The sentence is in future perfect. So structure for future perfect, will shall plus have plus V3. So he is the subject and will is the helping verb and have done homework. So when you are going to convert the sentence active voice into passive voice, subject will become object, object will become subject, and again have been you have to add, and after that V3 form you have to add, and after finally you have to give the sentence form. So these are here. Next here, look at these examples. Look at these examples. She will write a poems beautifully. She will write a poems beautifully. Poems will be beautifully written by her. So if the sentence is showing to you the adjective also, or adverb or adjective goes just before verb V3 only here. So before verb only, before V3 form only you have to add adverb or adjective. So So let the door be opened by him. So let plus object plus be plus verb plus and by plus subject. So this is. And next, voice change. On voice change, some of the examples are here. So did you teach us? Did you teach us? So did you teach us in that? So you can see here, did you teach us? So were we taught by you? Were we taught by you? She has to prepare food. She has to prepare. She has to prepare food. Food has to be prepared by her. Who told you about the accident? By whom were you told about the accident? Here you have to use the preposition before. So people are destroying the jungle. The jungle is being destroyed. So these are. And next here, so when we are focused on here tense form, you can see this table again. So I just want to explain about the table again. So what is the structural forms? So you have to focus on. So present continuous for that. Formula of passive voice. Object plus am is or plus V3 and plus subject. So this is the present continuous formula of passive voice. Next for present continuous tense, present indefinite tense structure is a formula of voice. Object plus am is or plus verb plus or subject. And when we are using a present continuous tense, object is am or am or being plus V3 plus subject means nothing but verb third form. And again present perfect tense. Object place have or has place been place verb third form plus subject. And next past indefinite tense. Object plus was or were plus verb third form plus subject. Next past continuous tense. Object plus was or were plus being plus verb third form plus subject again. And next past perfect tense. Past perfect tense. So for that object plus had plus been plus verb third form plus subject. And future indefinite tense. Object plus will or shall plus be plus verb third form plus subject. And next future perfect tense. Object plus will or shall plus have or has plus been plus verb third form plus subject. So these are the formulas of passive voice which are mentioned in a tense form. And next I just want to give again the rules for identify. First rule, rules for active into passive voice conversions means when we are transform the sentence active voice into passive voice, we have to follow these rules. Again I'll repeat. Identify the subject, verb and object in the active sentence to convert passive voice. This is first rule. And for example, he drives car. He drives car. So he drives car, in that subject is a he, verb is a drives and object is a car. So this is the first rule. And second rule, interchange the object and subject with each other. Means object of the active sentence become subject of the passive sentence. Example, active voice, she needs sweater. She, subject, needs, verb, object, sweater. So in a passive voice, the sweater is knitted by her. Object, sweater is interchanged with the subject she. So rule number 3. In passive voice sometimes the subject is not used. The subject in passive voice can be omitted if is in an active voice. So milk is the for example is milk is sold in liters. Milk is sold in liters. So change the base verb in the active sentence. Change the base verb in the active sentence. So now I just want to explain about the rule number 6 also we have. So use the suitable helping of auxiliary verb. So helping of auxiliary, for example, am, is, are, was, were. So the rules for using auxiliary verbs in passive voice sentences are different from for each tense. Example, the letter is written by her, a book was not by her, and chocolates are being eaten by them. So these are. And next here some of examples for form of active and passive voice for all tenses. So in simple present tense, he writes an essay. He writes an essay. An essay is written by him. On the sentence in active sentence, he writes an essay. Passive sentence, an essay is written by him. And next, Sheena does the housework. The housework is done by Sheena. She cares for the rabbit. She cares for the rabbit. The rabbit is being cared by her. Rahul always plays the guitar. The guitar is always played by Jakub. So these are the examples for simple present tense. And next focus on present continuous tense. Examples for present continuous tense. They are eating bananas. It is an active voice. When we are converting the sentence into passive voice, the bananas are being eaten by them. And next, Bob is drawing a diagram. Bob is drawing a diagram. A diagram is being drawn by Bob. Next, Soumya is playing the piano. A piano is being played by Soumya. And she is waiting for Rima. She is waiting for Rima. Rima is being awaited for by her. So these are. And next, present perfect tense. Examples for present perfect tense. So what are that? So in active statement of present perfect tense, has he done the work? Has he done the work? Has the work been done by him? Has the work been done by him? And next, have they left the apartment? Has the apartment been left by them? And he created this masterpiece. He created this masterpiece. When we are going to change this sentence active voice into passive voice, this masterpiece is created by him. Next, he read the newspaper. He read the newspaper. In a passive voice, the newspaper is being read by him. So, except certain exemptions, no passive formation from the following tenses of can be formed into the tense for future continuous tense, or else like this. And simple past means nothing but here there is no passive for present perfect continuous. In our present tense, there is no passive for present perfect continuous tense. So now the next tense of examples are simple past tense. So active sentence in simple past tense. Ria paid the bills. Ria paid the bills. The bills were paid by Ria. The bills were paid by Ria. And the teacher called the students. The teacher called the student. The student was called by the teacher. So in a simple past obviously. And she did not buy the fruits. She did not buy the fruits. The fruits were not bought by her. The fruits were not bought by her. And next here, again past continuous tense, which is called as the progressive, past progressive tense or past continuous tense, both are. So active tense, active voice sentences, they were waiting for him. They were waiting for him. When we are going to change into active voice into passive voice, they were waiting for him. He was being waited by them. He was being waited by them. So Asa was learning French. The next sentence in active voice, Asa was learning French. French was being learned by Asta. And next, she was playing kabaddi. Kabaddi was being played by her. So these are the example for past continuous tense. And next past perfect tense examples are she won the match. The match had been won by her. I had finished her work. Her work had been finished by me. He had missed the last metro. The last metro had been missed by him. And next simple future tense. He will write a letter. A letter will be written by him. He will repair her cycle. Her cycle will be repaired by him. He shall start the meeting. The meeting will be started by him. And next, future perfect tense examples for active voice and passive voice. Here, Meena will not have changed the bedsheet. Meena will not have changed the bedsheet. The bedsheet will not have been changed by Meena. So observe the sentence now. Meena will not. Negative sentence always remains as negative only. So will not as called as negative remain. So again, when we are converting the sentence active voice into passive voice, it has to identify as the remain negative only. So Meena will not have changed the bedsheet. The bedsheet will not have been changed by Meena. They will have won the match. The match will have been won by them. Here there is no negative form. And next, Reena will have washed the skirt. Reena will have washed the skirt. The skirt will have been washed by Reena. So these are the examples of in each tense of forms active voice into passive voice. So let us discuss. Let us see some of frequently asked questions active voice into passive voice. Rules of examples. When do we use passive voice? How do we identify the passive voice sentence? What is active voice examples? How to write a passive voice sentence as per the active voice rules? And how to identify active passive voice sentences. So these are the frequent questions I observed in many of examinations, many of videos, and many of places. So for that, so let us discuss on all these questions. When do we use passive voice? Passive voice is used when the door of the action. So before starting explaining of all these rules and transform the sentence and example of the tenses, I inform you about the structure of passive and active voice. So receiver and the doer. So and the main object of verb. So for that. So when do we use passive voice? If your question is, for that answer is passive voice is used when the door of the action is not known and the focus of the sentence is on the action and not the subject. So this is the answer for when do we use passive voice. And when do we identify the passive voice sentence? When do we identify the passive voice of sentences? So now how do we identify the passive voice of sentence? How do we identify the passive of the sentence? So to identify the passive voice in a sentence, look at the thing happened and the subject responsible for doing it. If the subject responsible for doing the action either occurs after the action has happened or is omitted, and it is a passive voice sentence. So this is what is the active voice, for example. Now, so what is the active voice example? I can see here a rare question and formally by the people, which is asked by the people. So when an action is done by a subject, what is the active voice example? So when an action is done by a subject, the verb of that sentence is in the active voice. So there is a straightforward of relation and clarity between the subject and the verb. So like that. For example, Rahul, the football where Melvin. Melvin hit the football where Melvin. Well, Melvin is a subject. So acts in a relation to the football. So this is what is a active voice example like. And how to write passive voice sentences as per the active and passive voice rules. How to write a passive voice and sentences as per the active passive voice rules for that. So here, to write a passive sentence, form of an active voice sentence, and first interchange the object and subject, and object of the active sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. Yes, obviously. How to transform the sentence active voice into passive voice means I already explained to you 4 rules. So what are that? First we have to interchange the object and subject. So object of the active sentence becomes the subject of passive sentence. Yes. Then change the verb it's a past participle, means nothing but in a V3 form you have to add. The thing is what? First we have to interchange the object and subject. Object of the active sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. Then change the verb, it's a past participle form. So that is. And the next question is how to identify active passive voice sentences. So it is very easy question. Is very easy. Answer is very easy to get. If the subject is performing the action, if the subject is performing the action, then the sentence is an active voice. If we know the definition of active and passive voice, it is very easy to identify which is active voice and which is passive voice of sentences. If the subject is performing the action, then the sentence is in the active voice. If the subject is simply receiving the action, then the sentence is in a passive voice. Again, I'll repeat the sentence. If the subject is performing the action, then the sentence is in the active voice. If the subject is simply receiving the action, then the sentence is in a passive voice. So what does that means here? For example, in active voice, a sentence emphasizes subject performing an action, while in passive voice, sentence emphasizes the action or the object of the sentence. To know how a sentence is converted in passive voice from active voice, we need to go through certain rules with examples based on it. Yes, here. So this is about active and passive voice of rules, and let us discuss. There is no passive voice formation for these tenses. So among all 12 tenses, there is no passive formation for these tenses. So what are that? First one is the present perfect continuous tense. So which is no passive of tenses and active and passive voice. So there is no passive voice formation for these tenses. First one is the present perfect continuous tense, and second one is the past perfect continuous tense, and third one is the future perfect continuous tense, and the final one is future continuous tense. From all the tenses, there is no passive for perfect continuous. Perfect continuous means nothing but whether it is a present perfect continuous, whether it is past perfect continuous, whether it is future perfect continuous. So for all these, there is no passive. And the final one is in the future tense, future continuous tense also not having any passive. So this is. So candidates, I think now you must have got all the information for making changes in a sentence, and with the active and passive voice rules of all tenses, and practice a set of examples, and the active passive voice will help you to clear the fundamentals and score well in a competitive exams also. So remember, every topic counts. If you find the information useful and worth sharing, so you just have to practice on it. Without practice, active voice and passive voice, it is impossible to learn easily. So you have to buy the rules, you have to buy the structures, you have to use the B forms. So by knowing all these rules only, we can convert the sentence active voice into passive voice. We can transform the sentence active voice into passive voice. So which are the tenses having passive voice, passive, and which are not having passive, and what are the rules we have to maintain while transform the sentence active voice into passive voice, and how to transform the sentence active voice into passive voice, and what are the structures, what are the B forms, what are the models, so what are the auxiliary verbs. So if you are seeing, when you are seeing of auxiliary verbs or B forms or any other helping verbs, for that what is the rule we have to maintain while converting the sentence, you have to learn. By that only it is very easy to convert the sentence active voice into passive voice. So many of the people, if you're maintaining these all the fundamentals, definitely will score well in a competitive exams. So hope you enjoyed it and hope you understood, I think. So thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.